Hello class, this is section 8.2, arithmetic sequences. So, as we mentioned in the previous video, arithmetic sequences are sequences that have a common difference. And in this case, they're telling us that this is an arithmetic sequence. We need to find the nth term. And the formula for the nth term is the first term plus n minus 1 times the common difference. All right, we're given the first term. Just as a rule of thumb, if there's no subscript, that means by default it's really 1. So some books will have the actual 1 explicitly written, others will not. In this case they do not, but that just means your first term. So we have, if we plug in that, 9 plus n minus 1 times d, which is 5. Distribute and simplify. We're going to get 9 plus 5n minus 5, and combining like terms gives us 5n plus 4. So 5n plus 4 is our general formula to find the nth term. And now we can find any term we want. In this case, they want us to find 10. So we plug in 10 for n, and that will give us 54. That is our final answer. The next one, the first 4 terms of a sequence are given. Notice they don't say arithmetic. Can these terms be the terms of an arithmetic sequence? Question mark. So we need to check to see if there's a common difference. So you can always subtract the first from the second. If you do that, you get 21 minus 15 is 6. Then you want to subtract the second from the third. That would be 27 minus 21 is 6. And then you want to subtract the third from the fourth. So 33 minus 27 is also 6. If these are the same, then that means it is a common difference. In this case, they are the same, which means it is an arithmetic sequence. And the common difference, as you can see, is 6. Same directions. So let's apply the same thing. We're going to subtract the first from the second. 9 over 2 minus 9. Well, that's really 4.5 minus 9 is going to be, if you get a common denominator, times 2 times 2. That's going to be negative 9 over 2. All right, let's check the next one. If you do the third minus the second, 0 minus 9 over 2 is negative 9 over 2. So far, so good. Now let's subtract the third from the fourth. Negative 9 over 2 minus 0 is also negative 9 over 2. As you can see, these are all the same, which means that it is an arithmetic sequence, and the common difference is negative 9 halves. Determine the common difference, the 5th term, the nth term, and the 100th term of the arithmetic sequence. So this time they're telling us it is an arithmetic sequence, so that means we don't have to check each common difference to see if it's the same. We already know it is an arithmetic, so all we got to do is subtract the first from the second, and that'll give us our common difference. 14 minus 6 is 8. So that is our common difference. The 5th term, well, first we have to find the formula for the general term, or we can actually just 1, 2, 3, 4. So the next one would be the 5th. All we got to do is keep on adding 8 and 8 and 8 and 8. So the next term would be 30 plus 8, which is 38. The general formula, we can use our a sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. And if we do, we're going to get the first term is 6, and our common difference is 8. Distribute, combine like terms. All right, we should get 8n minus 2. That's our general formula. And now we can find any term we want. Once you have the formula, that's the advantage of getting this formula. We can find any term we want now. So we have to substitute 100 in for n. So a sub 100 is going to be 8 times 100 minus 2, which is 800 minus 2, which is 798. All right. Partial sums. All right, so now we're looking for a partial sum, and there is a formula for partial sums of an arithmetic sequence, and the formula for that is s sub n is equal to n over 2 times a sub 1 plus a sub n. All right, so we want the 20th, the sum of the first 20 terms. So let's see, do we have everything we need? Well, we are missing the last term, the 20th term. So before we can apply this formula, we're going to have to apply this formula first in order to find out what a sub 20 is, because we want the 20th term, the sum of the first 20 terms. That means we have to find the 20th term. So let's figure out what a sub n is, and then we can go from there. So a sub n is equal to the first term, which is given to us, 15, plus n minus 1 times d, which is also given to us, negative 6. All right, and actually we might as well just plug in 20 for n. So 20, and then that will do it. So the 20th term will be 15 plus 19 times negative 6. And if we calculate that, we'll get 15 minus 19 times 6 is equal to negative 99. All right, so now once we have that, we have everything we need for the partial sum of the first 20 terms. N is 20 divided by 2. The first term is 15, and the 20th term is negative 99. All right, so this is going to be 10 times negative, what is that, 84, I believe? Yeah. All right. So that's going to be negative 840. All right. So this time they gave us a partial sum of an arithmetic sequence. They want us to find the sum. All right, so we're going to use the same formula. However, we don't know the last term. I'm sorry, we do know the last term. We don't know how many terms there are because of this ... So in this formula, what we're missing is n. We don't know the number of terms. We see 1, 2, 3, 4, but there can be, we don't know how many are in between these two terms. So the missing variable here is n. We know the first term, a sub 1, is 280, and we know the last term, 136. So we got that, we need that. All right, in order to find that, we're going to go back to our general term. And let's first find the common difference. We know there's a common difference because it tells us it's an arithmetic sequence, so that shouldn't be too hard to do. The common difference is always the second term minus the first term, which in this case will be a negative number. It's going to be negative 17, I believe. Let me just double check. Sorry, negative 16. All right, so we know the first term, we know the last term, and we know d, so that's going to allow us to solve for n. So the last term is 136, the first term is 280, n is unknown, and our common difference is negative 16. So if we distribute, we'll be able to solve. All right, so let's combine like terms here. We can combine 280 and 16. That's going to be 296 minus 16n. Subtract 296 to both sides. That's going to be negative 160. Divide by negative 16. And we should get positive 10. All right. So positive 10 it is. And now that tells us how many terms there are. So now we know what n is, and now we can apply this formula now. So going back to this formula, we want the sum of the first 10 terms, because we just found out that there are 10 terms to add. Here it is, 10 terms. So it's going to be 10 over 2 times first term, 280, plus last term, 136, and that's 5 times 416, which is 2080 is our final answer. And that concludes this section because that is the same exact problem. Yep, we are done.